All right, so let's move on to perseverance, right? That's another building block. That seems different from both effort and tenacity to me. I mean, I think of perseverance as kind of consistency of effort. When things get harder, when the odds of success get longer, that's perseverance. Do you think of it any different? How do you see it?
Yeah, no, I think you're pointing out that, going to practice every day and trying to do high quality practice, and to do it consistently is one thing, but maybe you could also use the word resilience, resilience in the face of setbacks or adversity. I mean, that feels to you maybe different. And if that's the distinction you mean, then I completely agree. I think there is a psychology of getting up again when you fall, and there's a lot of neuroscience on that too. And it's very related to what Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset and what Marty Seligman might call like optimism, because what enables someone to get up when they fall down, and to rise to the next challenge is a belief that you can change and grow. And Marty might say that this is like an optimistic way of explaining what happened to you. You're looking for causes of what happens to you, that you have some control over and that you can change, so that the next time things go better.
That is, I mean, those are the underpinnings of everything. I mean, I would say of all the people that have been on the podcast, if they didn't mention either Carol Dweck, Martin Seligman, or Daniel Kahneman, I'd drop over dead. And these, they literally are the kind of triumvirate of the basis of how people think about this. So I'm inclined to believe. Okay, let's spend a moment on passion. You were talking about passion kind of right off the top. Certainly part of grit. Passion is a little bit of a difficult word for me to get my head around if you really want to know the truth. I feel like it's a little overused, maybe a little underdefined. Maybe I think you were using enthusiasm. I like enthusiasm a little bit better. What are your thoughts on passion as it relates to grit, and more specifically how you measure it?
I have been wondering about why there are so few synonyms for the word passion, because when you talk to people who really love what they do, I mean, it comes out of their mouth, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they'll call their work a passion. I mean, maybe they'll say it's like a calling, but that's a little more rare. And I kind of share your sort of like, I mean, it feels like a Hallmark card, right?
Yeah.
Like, really, people like, but I think the idea is, it is romantic, right? I mean, it is like having a devotion. I think it's not a coincidence that this word passion, which we would also use for, falling in love with someone or being in love with someone, is the word that kind of just drops out of the mouths of these people. So to get to what it is, like to just basically understand what this word means, I think people who feel that their work is both purposeful and fun are the ones who will tell me that it's a passion. Purposeful almost always means being part of something that is larger than yourself. It's not just the people who are community organizers and doctors who feel this. It's even individual athletes. I mean, people who play an individual sport, and therefore are kind of playing for themselves. Even they feel like, they're winning for their team. They're winning for their other team in terms of like the U.S. or their coach, fellow athletes in the same endeavor. So purpose, in whatever form it comes for you, but feeling part of and in service to something larger than yourself. And oh my gosh, this is fun. This is interesting to me. It's enjoyable. When you put those things together, I think you'll be the kind of person who, if I sat next to you on an airplane, and I asked you, do you love what you do? If you have both purpose and a sense of intrinsic interest or enjoyment, you'll say yes.
So I don't know if you would agree with this, but I feel like the word comes out of people's mouth two different ways. Sometimes when it comes out of their mouth, you can kind of feel the energy and you're like, yes, this person actually genuinely has like a love. Sometimes people are like, oh, I'm passionate about ballet dancing. And you're just like, not so much. You can always tell who means it and who doesn't, at least in my experience.
I think that, like, for me, it is a lot about the reaction time. How long does it take you to answer the
Yeah.
question? And
Yeah.
if there's a long pause and, your eyes kind of go up to the right, and you're like looking at the ceiling,
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, and your voice goes up half an
Yeah.
octave, I do wonder.
Yeah.
And I think, by the way, it's not something that, you have to think of as fixed. I mean, I think for me, if you asked me in my 20s, I would be, I'd probably start crying. I mean, I didn't have a passion. It really bothered me a lot. It really bothered me a lot. And I did cry a lot about it. And it took me until I was 32 to figure out that I wanted to become a psychologist. So I have a lot of empathy for people who have not yet developed a passion.